Ruth Roberts, your pet's ally. I hope that you're all well, and I hope the internet gods will allow me to get through this recording without any issues. At any rate, I know there's still some confusion over supplements and what to use and what not to use. And again, my sincere apologies that this is so confusing. And I know that some of you are losing confidence in what I'm telling you, and understandably so. So let's just dive into some of the questions, and we'll go down the line. So first off is about the kidney diet. So the way these got set up, and I apologize in hindsight, it would have made more sense to do both a low fat and a high fat version. But the kidney diets have 22 tablespoons of oil to make up for calories in because of lower protein. Now, what I want you to remember too is that this is almost a double batch too. So in reality, this would be similar to about 10 tablespoons of oil per batch to get the calories. Now, the easiest way to sort this out for those of you that have pets that are fat sensitive for various reasons is to substitute in 1 cup of cooked grain, and most often that's rice, for 1 3/4 tablespoon of oil. So for instance, if we're going to try to get this down to, I know some of you use as low as, well, let's just go to the normal 6 spoons per batch. So if we're going to go from 11 to 6, that's going to be typically 5 divided by 1.75 is going to be let's see, so it would be about 600 calories. So roughly every tablespoon of oil is equivalent to about 120 calories. And then roughly 1 cup of rice is 214 calories. So if we need to drop 600 calories of oil, so 2 to 6 ESP per batch, then you would add an additional 3 cups cooked grain, and that will take you to 6 tablespoons. So roughly, if you use this conversion, 1 cup of cooked rice or grain is equal to about 1 3/4 tablespoons of oil. That will get you in the right ballpark. And the thing you may need to, let's see if we can dump those there. The thing that you may need to bear in mind is that you're going to need to add 3 fatty acids, and so that will be important to keep everything balanced out and to support the kidneys. But nutritionally, this will add some protein because of the rice, but not a terrific amount, so it should not adjust that protein level up terrifically. Now, let's see. So I know this is a bunch of you were concerned about that. Now, let's get to the supplements. And again, y'all, I am sorry. This is so confusing. So Lolly's wondering if we can add some extra food. And let's see, I think it was Pamela's like really confused, and she's like, screw this, you're nuts. And Pamela, again, my apologies. I'm trying to sort it out for you. And then Carrie, same thing. So here's a couple of things I wanted to be able to help break this down for you a little simply. So there are a couple of different options. So yes, I sell supplements for a living. That's part of how I make my living. But what I'm also trying to do is give you options that you can purchase anywhere. I wish that I'd actually been able to get this holistic total body support made in December, as the company promised me, but it didn't happen. So this is what we've got to sort through to make sure that the diet stays balanced. Now, Carrie was asking about RxEssentials, and I did use this for a while, but again, many things changed. This supplement does not contain any, um, come on, brain cells, uh, any choline whatsoever. The Balance It does. The Balance It is pretty darn close, except for it is low in vitamin E. So RxEssentials, you would still have to add in uh, more E, more zinc, and choline, along with the calcium and zinc. So that's why I didn't suggest this one. Also, this one is has a beef liver base, and then also maltodextrin, which is known to flares in people with Crohn's disease. That's kind of why I stopped using this. And then this FOS complex has both soy. So again, FOS is a prebiotic fiber, and some animals can handle it great and some of them can't. So you can certainly use this, but you would need to add in choline and zinc, as well as the standard issue um, calcium citrate, and also it is still a bit low in iodine, so you would need to add that as well. It does contain a couple of other things that some of these don't, but they're not a significant improvement. So for instance, there is a little bit more magnesium, but again, the spirulina is one of the other ones that can also be a problem for pets that are food sensitive. Now, the other option is Balance It, and that works reasonably well, except for you do have to add vitamin E. And so if we look at Balance It, and I will drop all of these links in the links here, and or in the YouTube channel, and then also in the Facebook group, so you'll have access to this. So, this stuff, you do need to add quite a bit of it. I think it's somewhere around 45 grams per batch. It is fairly complete. The thing it does not contain enough of is vitamin E. So, and it's a little marginal on choline. So that's kind of the other issue here. With Balance It, that a lot of people have told me their pets have had problem with it, is this powdered cellulose, which is what's considered to be a flow agent. And what does that? It keeps it in a powder form and keeps things rolling. So that is the thing I don't like about this. However, it's one, this takes you down from having to add 3 or 4 things into just one, plus again, calcium citrate and iodine via kelp. So, for either situation, you're going to have to do that. And then what's your cost for making a batch of food? And again, it is added directly to the batch of food. It is not added onto the meal per pet. So you do want to make sure that the food has cooled reasonably well before you mix it in. The vitamin that beat up the most by cooking is thiamine, which is one of the B vitamins. So there is not a ton. And again, the vitamins are a little marginal. And it's interesting, in the natural animal nutrition course, many of my teachers the same thing. A lot of people use it, the thing that veterinarians say, because a aborted veterinary nutritionist, Dr. Rebecca Remillard, set this site up. And, when she set it up, it was a great gift because this way, veterinarians are confident that their clients were eating balanced food. Clients could be relatively sure of that. But again, a lot of the ingredients she will suggest in the recipes itself are kind of substandard. So things like corn oil and super high in carbohydrates. And it sort of says you can alter the recipes, but it at the end of it doesn't really let you do that. So that's what I've got there. And then again, let's go back to this page since it's a little less confusing. So, again, so in place of holistic total body support, you would use canine whole body support for the glandulars. Although, again, if your pet has food sensitivities, I would leave out Multithera 2 plus iron. You would give 1 tablet for 20 pounds of body weight for dogs and 1 tablet per cat per day. And then you would need to add 4 drops of vitamin D, so basically 400 IU. The choline, each of these are 250 milligrams. You would need 2 capsules per batch for dogs, 3 capsules per cats, and then 5 if you were following the kidney recipes, because protein is what contains most of the choline, which is a quasi B vitamin. And then lastly, zinc. And you would need to add 1 50 milligram tablet per batch of food. So it's confusing, and I don't have a way around this, y'all. There just isn't a lot of stuff out there that will complete a home cooked diet very well. And if you look at, any of the raw diet, they are actually not balanced either. So it gets super confusing. So what I'm doing is my best to give you the ability to make sure that your pet's food is complete and balanced for all life stages according to AFCO standards, which again were updated in 19, and we're running off of the 2020 recommendations currently. Now, if you are still using 2 per day, unfortunately, this is low in copper and in iron. So you would need to add, these are 2 milligram copper bisglycinate capsules. You would need to add 2 per batch for dogs, 1 per batch for cats. And then in iron, you would need to add 1 18 milligram capsule per batch for dogs and 2 1/4 caps per cats. For batch for cats, and then of course taurine, because none of these supplements has taurine in them. None of the veterinary ones, Balance It does not. I think their carnivore does have taurine in it, but it is lower in choline because they're going to be feeding raw essentially. And then our essentials does not have either. So if you have a cat, it is essential to add taurine. If you theoretically, dogs do not need taurine, but for propensity towards heart disease, it is suggested to add taurine. So with the whole grain-free food debacle, where again, something like 60 to 70% of the total calories were in legumes, provide anti-nutrients. We had dogs and golden retrievers, and in fact, these were the majority of cases that ended up developing dilative cardiomyopathy because we think they simply were not able to absorb enough taurine from the diet, even though there theoretically was plenty in there. So I hope that's making some sense. And yeah, and yeah, the vitamin E, again, we're trying to sort of round up things, Katie, and that was the closest product I could find at the time. So I think if you look at the Multithera, it is higher as well. But again, it was, the best I could do to get you something. And then Kay is asking, this one is easy, thank you, Kay, about saffron. And yes, saffron is listed as toxic to dogs and cats. There's not a lot of information about how much is out there, but 20 grams can cause death. I looked at Zen Cope, which is Microbiome Labs specific supplement for helping improve your neurotransmitters. It's saffron as well. And it was something milligrams of saffron per capsules. Out of an abundance of caution, I decided not to offer that because there is a lot of conflicting information. And what I was concerned about was sort of the cumulative effect of too much saffron. So I think I have everything. And then Lolly, this is the issue, is that you can put their food with, but it's going to be hard to reach the right dose. So I think you're better off using a specific supplement to the right dose. So I hope that is helpful. I'm going to pop back over here and answer some questions. So Linda, I think you're asking about using beans in place of rice for increase, and the problem is that increases the protein significantly. So you would go from a kidney diet to basically a regular diet. So that's why you want to use rice. And then Becky is asking about using an omega-3 fatty acid with vitamin E added to it, called Bonnie and Clyde Wild Omega-3, and worried about these combo products because in order to get some efficient dose of omega-3 fatty acids, if they have E or D, in some cases vitamin A, and actually more of the issues with vitamin D, it becomes close to toxic. So let's take a look at what you got here with the omega-3. This is, turn that back on so we can see this load up. And let's see if we can find, that's probably, I think that says 1,150 milligrams of omega-3, but let's see, there. Yep. So 1175 with 100 IU. So that probably would work reasonably well. Again, so the if you're going to use the Balance It product, this is where this would become, the vitamin E would become important. And quite honestly, we're beginning to understand that vitamin E almost never becomes toxic. So that's all good stuff. That's actually not a bad looking product. So there is that. And Becky's saying, yeah, on the Balance It website and put in the CrockPet formulation. And this is the interesting thing. The nutritionists were really kind of cracking on this site. Basically, this delivers minimums and not much above them. So that's what I'm trying to do, is get you guys optimal nutrition. And this is it doesn't quite get there. Um, so yes, and I think the other thing is that this site, the Balance It site, is still working off the 2006 NRC. So if that to the more recent, be a lot of things that had changed. But yeah, I mean, on 2006 NRC, we look good. But with new recommendations, not so much. Really stinks. So yeah, Becky, it has been so frustrating for me, and I know it's been incredibly frustrating for you all as well. But here's the thing about it too. So in 2006, um, veterinary medicine was not thinking about the fact that average age of a wild dog, the average lifespan of a wild dog is about okay to get somebody up to that lifespan. The average dog up to about 8 years of age is different from the nutritional content it's going to take to sustain age. And this is really, really, really the difference. So I hope that makes sense. And we are working diligently to find something else that'll put everything in one pot. I'm working with another manufacturer that may be able to get us a wee bit sooner. The other thing I'm recognizing too is that there are so many dogs that are sensitive to pork or beef or both, that creating a supplement that does not have any flavoring agents in it, it's a problem. So, all right, Gary, this is an interesting question. And thank you for the videos. So does eating your own feces improve the digestive system because you have constipation? And no, it doesn't, because basically you're refeeding yourself the same stuff that you've already got. So if you're going to look at doing something like a fecal transplant, that's where you need somebody else's poop. So, if constipation is an issue, that's where you have to add in more fibers and then really work on improving the microbiota. Yep. Yeah. And yeah, and I don't know if they did or not because it should be saying CrockPet Diet is low in, I don't know if they updated to the 19 ones because the CrockPet Diet should be low in calcium, um, iodine, zinc, and vitamin D. So it's interesting with a lot of legumes and cats, and I'll have to go play with this site and see what's what. You do have to do some extra work. The other issue is that in so many of the foods in the USDA uh, database, there is no taurine listed because it was not considered. Uh, sorry, Gary. Um, s- uh, the U. So taurine was not considered to be essential. They're starting to backtrack and add that in. But yeah, I really have to add taurine levels. And yes, heavy legume means like more than 60 to 75%, which are what many of these grain-free diets are. So for that reason, I don't recommend them, aside from them being super high in carbohydrates. Um, yeah, that's interesting. So I'll have to go check that out, Becky, because that's not something I have seen it all, but I'll go play on their site too and see what's what. Um, and then the potassium being a little bit high means that her kidneys just aren't getting the products, getting all of the electrolytes back into system. And stage 2 shouldn't create hyperphosphatemia, chylemia, but it can. So one of the other solutions is to add a small amount of magnesium. So something on the order of, if she's a Labrador, maybe 150 to 200 milligrams of magnesium, and that seems to help drive the potassium back into the cell. The deal with magnesium is that there is a bowel dose, meaning if you take too much magnesium, then you're going to have loose stools. So do be careful adding that in. And with chronic kidney disease, really there should not be any symptomatology or changes in things. So I'm wondering if there's something else going on there. And then Karen's asking about Clare's probiotics. They are good probiotics, and I use them for a lot of years. They are pricey because they're actually high quality. They are actually very high dose. For instance, the Probiotics Synbiotic is 50 billion CFUs. And it's a great one. So check that out. So I think that is what we've got time for today. Do you all have any other questions? And Gregory, glad to hear that Joe sent you over. So I know a lot of Joes, but I'm not sure. So that's what I have for you today. I hope that makes a little more sense. We'll be sending you some more of this information so you can make your own choices about what you want to use for supplements and what you don't. Again, if you have holistic total body support still, you really don't have to add any of these things. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Amlodipine is used often, and I think it's kind of a little heavy duty. I have seen the dogs have issues as far as tremors and things of that nature. So that's what I've got for you this week. I'm going to head over and get ready to do the iPets Ally broadcast. And until next week, everybody give your pets a big hug. And remember, your pet's best health stole. Thanks. I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts, your pet.